Hello everybody, Mark, aka The Nerdy Punk, back again today for a new video. We are at the movie theater right now, as you can tell. I am getting ready to go see the new film, directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Brendan Fraser, called The Whale. This movie released back in early December to limited audiences. It then expanded slowly over time, but we've had to wait until here in January to finally get it at a theater near me. I had to drive about 50 minutes to get to this one, but that is okay because I am super excited to watch this. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. Brendan Fraser is getting all kinds of Oscar buzz. He's one of the favorites for lead actor for this movie, so I had to see it for that reason. Aronofsky as a director is kind of hit or miss for me. Sometimes his movies are amazing, sometimes they're kind of mediocre in my opinion, and I've heard some criticisms about this movie, but nothing related to Fraser's performance. Everybody says who's seen this, that's by far the best part of this movie. It's also an A24 movie, so I see almost every A24 movie I can that comes to theaters in my area. So I had to watch this one. This was kind of one of those that I couldn't make any thoughts about awards or top 10 movies or anything until I saw this movie. This was definitely one of those. So I'm going to head into the theater. I will see you guys in a few hours and a few seconds for you guys, and I will give you guys my thoughts on The Whale.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so back from seeing The Whale, and the sun has appeared. It's been overcast for what feels like weeks here in the Midwest. You know, it's January, it's those overcast vibes, but the sun has shown up, and it's doing this weird thing with the camera. I don't know if it'll show up on the video, but we're getting some sun rays going on. Nonetheless, The Whale. My thoughts. This is a complicated one. This is one that I'm having a tough time really coming to terms with. There's parts of this that I loved and parts of this that I really didn't like at all. It's very much a mixed bag for me, and I think I share that opinion with a majority of critics. Let's just get this out of the way. Brendan Fraser is absolutely Oscar worthy in this. He deserves it. I think he didn't win at the Golden Globes, and I forget who won instead of him. Austin Butler won. I mean, they're both Oscar worthy performances. I wouldn't be heartbroken if either one of them won, but just the emotion that Brendan Fraser is able to convey in this movie is fantastic. This is the more kind of traditional Oscar bait performance, but it is fantastic, and there's certainly props deserved there. Hong Chau was amazing too. She gives a great supporting role. The only thing is, she's not on screen very much, and I would have loved to dive more into her character, but they barely touch on her backstory at all. They mention a couple things here and there, and then for the most part, she was not in the movie as much as I expected her to be, and I wanted her to be in the movie more. Sadie Sink plays a character, the daughter of Brendan Fraser's character. I'm not sure how I feel about her character. I liked her performance. I thought she was good, but just the way they wrote her character, I'm not a huge fan of. I get what they were going for. I felt like it could have been much better, and the emotional payoff could have been even more. It is still, the emotional payoff is there. I was not the only one crying at the end. There were a few people in theater with me. Most of them were sobbing by the end of this movie. It definitely hits you emotionally, but I felt like it could have been even more over the edge there, if in a good way, if her writing, the writing for her character would have been better. Thematically, I think it has a lot to say, but it doesn't really say them in the most effective ways. There's a lot of stuff about religion, and from what I know about Darren Aronofsky and his previous work, I think he puts his religious beliefs a little bit too much into his movies. And part of that could be the fact that I don't agree with Darren Aronofsky's religious beliefs personally. Not that there's anything wrong with them. Like, the man is free to believe whatever he wants it to believe. But I don't know, I wasn't really appreciative of the way that they handled religion in the movie. I thought it was okay. Could have been better. The themes of addiction, I thought, could have been explored a little bit better, although there were moments that I thought that it did a really good job at depicting addiction and food addiction in particular. Because it is what his character does is the exact same behavior of an addict of any other drug, and I think it was a really honest way of depicting how somebody gets to that level. And as somebody who, thankfully not as bad as the character in this movie, but somebody who's dealt with his own struggles in terms of his eating habits and his weight. I mean, I did feel that, like, the way we use food as a coping mechanism, I felt like, and I thought that was a really great way of depicting it. So I have no complaints there. Other themes like sexuality that were being explored, and how, the relationship, and sometimes quite toxic one, between religion and sexuality, I thought was explored decently. Again, could have been done a little bit better. My overall thoughts on this movie, I think overall it's a mixed bag. I would not really say that it'd be worthy of awards except for Brendan Fraser. I think Brendan Fraser is worthy, and I wouldn't complain if Hong Chow got a nomination. I think the makeup overall was really good. Brendan Fraser's makeup looked believable. It didn't look cartoonish or ridiculous, so I think that was good. As far as direction and writing, I don't really think there's a lot there. And to me, this is not a Best Picture nomination, but, to each his own. I'm sure there are people who think this is a masterpiece, and there's nothing wrong with that. I thought it did a decent job at what it was. So Brendan Fraser is the key takeaway from this movie. He was amazing, and I can't wait to see what else he does in the coming years as he's making his grand return to Hollywood. So, and just as a human being, Brendan Fraser, everything I know about him, he seems like an amazing human being. So I'm really happy for him. That's going to wrap up my thoughts on The Whale. Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below if you've seen this movie, what you thought about it, and if you'll be pulling for Brendan Fraser in the Oscar race. I hope you all have an amazing weekend, and I will see you later.